Hello, this is Bridget Rao with Divine Essentials. Alright, so I have a little bit of time before somebody gets here, and I figured I would talk about this in the beginning part. Somebody had asked me on Instagram earlier, they'd like to know more about the codes that I've been talking about. If you don't know, basically, it's a hard thing about having like Instagram, Facebook, blah, blah, blah. You should probably try to have like one that's like your main place, or try to make content that kind of can be shared across all places. Like right now they're saying that the biggest thing is podcasts, because you can, there's not that many people out there with podcasts. Like there's like 250,000 active podcaster members that, are actively making them. It's a long form content, so you can teach people stuff about stuff, and it's not like a 30-second try to get it all out and sound like a crazy person, which is what happens with Instagram and those other places where it's like shorts and stuff. And that's by design. They want people to be like because if you're not paying attention, then you don't pay attention, and you don't see the problem. You can't change the problem, and that's a collective thing. Okay, third eye we're moving into. So we want to open our ancient eyes. We want to be people who are a little bit more cool, calm, zen. Like it's a dopamine thing. It's a drug thing. Okay, so you're literally becoming addicted to those types of things. And you're going to see, like, when you go through the spiritual levels of stuff, you're going to get tested. You're going to get pushed. You're going to be like, oh, you want to go with the ego route, or do you want to go with the soul level? Do you want to do that thing that you know is going to get a big return and give you a boost, or do you want to do the thing that you know is good for your people on a soul level? And the right people will stick around. The ones that only want to have, like, a dopamine hit, they'll remove themselves. But it's a balancing act, and it's hard because we want to wake everybody up. We want to get everybody on board with like creating a new world, which is what the whole point of like our ancient eyes awakening, this perception within us of like, hey, this isn't a good thing, right? Like we want to heal this world. My world is a constant stream of synchronicity. It's a constant like that tied to that, tied to that, tied to that. Even when you're like not even noticing it, it's there. But once you're aware of it, once you open those ancient eyes, you will see it more and more and more. And those around you will see it more and more and more. But you will also at times get fooled, or you'll have darkness come in and shroud stuff, or people will think things because of their belief system, or because of their conditioning, or because of their ancient eyes being closed to certain things. It's unfortunate, and it's a difficult thing, and it's something that we're going to struggle with, and we're going to struggle with our own personal journeys too. Like I've had to deal with my own personal journey of, putting things out there, helping other people, while I'm also hurting from the same things I'm trying to help other people with. And it's like sometimes you get to a point where it's like, why bother? But I did want to share this part of something, because this is part of that, like opening those eyes, right? Like when I see something and it connects, or it like resonates for me, I look at it, and then I don't look just at that fucking top level, right? Like I look up a little bit deeper. This says, third eye changes, focus, skill, ability, rising above, strategy, a transition, your higher self, right? I pulled these cards out earlier, okay? Now this is part of this weirdness, right? Pulled these cards out earlier because I was telling my dad about the birds, and how the birds have been having messages. All these birds that I've been getting, all these weird things. Like yesterday, there was a little tiny bluebird. It wasn't a blue jay. It was a little tiny bluebird slamming my healing room window. Just slamming into it. Last year, it was the cardinals on the other side of the house slamming the window. Yesterday, while that little bluebird was here doing that, the cardinal was here on the mirror, like banging into the mirror. And it's like, oh, so there's levels and layers, right? This is challenging the status quo. There's an opportunity for new hope and new perspectives, for clear vision, our past, present, and future. This is the ego. Ego connects to our heart. That's that level of perception where we come into the level of our heart and our soul. There's an exercise that I did a long time ago where you breathe through those levels, and when you do that, you can see into other people's souls. You can see who they've been. You can see who you've been. You can do this by yourself in a mirror. The way to do it is to just calm yourself down, light a candle, and just have that be the light in your environment. Just light one candle, look into the window or to the mirror, or to a human across from you, and both of you are going to close your left eye, and you're going to just, all right, whether it's you in the mirror or you and another person, Every time I've done this exercise with people in person at my house, they've been like, oh my God. And every time I've done it myself with another person, it's like, oh my God. And I've done it. I did it years ago unknowingly. Back when I lived in that basement, I had been sitting there looking in the glass doors of the there's like, it was like French door type of look, but it was like I'm looking into that, and one, like I morphed into my dad, and then I morphed into my mom, and then I morphed into like a mix of the two. So I feel like you can do this. You could do this with water, like scrying bowl of water, and just look in there and do it there. You could do it in the mirror. You could do it in the window, however it works for you. But just close that eye, breathe through those levels. What's going to happen as you're doing this is like that first level is that basic level, our instinct level. It's that amygdala, like the reptilian fight or flight type of brain stuff of where most people are living our lives, in that fight or flight of ah! And it's not where we want to be for doing this type of stuff. So we want to breathe ourselves up out of there into that next level, to the jaguar level, to the creative, like, oh, like I don't have to eat everything right now. I don't have to be like blah, blah, blah. I can chill. I can save some of that. I can be a little like whatever. I can get around stuff. I can shape shift. Then in the hummingbird, which is our solar plexus, our confidence, our strength, we rise above the shit show. We rise above all that chaos. We look for the sweetness in life. We focus on the sweetness in life. We focus on the good things in life, the good people, the good feelings, the good, this is nice, this tastes nice, this is good. I don't have to worry because there's plenty for everybody. That's, a much better place to be. But when this is happening and you're staring and gazing through these levels, you're going to start to see shape shifting on your face. Different faces coming, and it could be animals, it could be like man, woman, all different stuff. But one of them will start to make itself known to you, and it's going to keep like showing up, keep showing up. So when you come to the next level, you want to hold that one, like try to get the message from that one. And it's probably going to be a simple message, whatever. Like I did it with somebody, and the message I got from Jesus, I believe, was like, we are all one. And then I remembered because I saw my notes, right? I did it with this guy, and I saw his inner child. I saw his little boy self, and I knew his little boy self because I went to school with his little boy self. So I saw his inner child, then I saw him as a knight in shining armor, and then I saw him as Jesus, okay? And he saw me as like a high priestess alien lady. And I did it with another person, and that person looked like the Easter Island head, and like just a big, huge, scary kind of looking thing. It's weird. It's hard to explain, but that's our reality because we're in a multi-dimensional reality. We're in a multi-dimensional existence. We're in a matrix of our creation. So how you feel, how you believe, how you think, how you do your day-to-day is how things are going to show up. But you are also like dealt with by other people, and how you let other people treat you, and how you let other people see you or impact you, even just like when people doubt me or just dismiss me, it bothers me, but I don't have to let it bother me. If I don't let it bother me, then it's not going to bother me. Then I'm not going to keep seeing that showing up in my reality. So there's a lot of levels to this stuff. I feel like when I do the shamanic stuff after the Alcyon light healing, we'll get more into that type of stuff, but the Alcyon light healing was more so of like, hey guys, let's introduce you to all of this. Let's get you into it. Let's get you into the feelings, into the emotions. And yes, I've definitely taken a route that was like, whoa, because I've also been healing as I go. And I see the pattern, okay? I don't always get to do what I want to do when I want to do it. And I don't really care about that either, because in my world, it's like, it's not about that. It's not about like always appeasing everybody else. It's not about always like doing exactly what we said we were going to do or wanted to do or whatever, because that's impossible to do every day. But what we can do is like control our reaction to it, our response to it. If something's going on where these things aren't happening, it's like, okay, it's not meant to happen. Let's just let it be. Let's not freak out about it. But if we start freaking out about it, we make it much harder for ourselves, and we get like sucked into a vacuum of more and more of that, and it just becomes harder and harder and harder on us, and we beat ourselves up. Like being a people pleaser, it's like, it's not the greatest path, and I'm aware of it. I catch myself do it, and I'm like, no, I don't do that anymore. I'm not enjoying this, so I'm not gonna keep doing it because it's not fun for me, and it's not healthy for me. And if it's not healthy for me, and it's not good for me, and I don't feel good about it, then I'm going to guess that the people showing up to me are in the same boat, but they're in that same boat under the guise of like, I want to know this and I'm feeling this way and and they're looking for help and whatever. But the best way I can help people is the best way I can help them in being honest with them and saying like, this isn't healthy. This isn't what we may have thought it was before, when I was at that level of thinking what it was before. But that's how we go through the levels of our lives, and that's how we go through the levels of awakening, and that's how we come to acceptance of things. But we're not supposed to suffer. We're not supposed to struggle. We're not supposed to hate, and we're not supposed to be treated poorly. And it doesn't matter what reading or what thing says what, or why somebody did what they did. Yes, it helps us to know why someone did what they did, or what happened in our lives that wasn't the best. But it doesn't change the behaviors of those things, and it doesn't change how you feel about yourself by dealing with those things. The only thing that's going to do is keep you in the perpetual motion of, let's repeat that again and again and again until I get into my head that this is the problem that I need to change. I cannot change them. We can bend reality, we can try to change things, but we cannot change another individual. We can only change ourselves. And if other people don't want to meet us there at that healed level, or they don't want to meet us where it feels good to be interacting in a way that's like, oh, I love you and you love me and we do nice things to each other, then we've got to remove ourselves from that. And we want to remove anything in our world or in our reality that's keeping us returning to that, whether it's friends, family, work, whatever. If you're not feeling good, remove yourself from the situation, okay? Now, recently, I feel like this all ties again, okay? I haven't fucking remembered my dreams since I was 5 years old. It was back when I lived, I've remembered dreams throughout the years, but not a lot of them. It was usually when the twin person was involved in them. I would remember those ones. Regardless if they were in my life or not, regardless if it was like 10 years ago, 20 years ago, if they were in it, I would remember it. But before that, when I was like 5 years old, I was living in this house. It was the house that I was first sexually assaulted in. I used to have this recurring dream of Atlantis. And it was like underwater. All these people, all the city was just like underwater. And there was these two people under there with me that I would always end up seeing, but I couldn't move. I was frozen in the water, like just floating. And that's how they were too. But the lady's face was like stuck in a scream, and he was kind of creepy. And it was like, oh, they had tritons with them. In my little 5-year-old mind, though, I thought that those were like, green acres. I thought they were farmers. They weren't. They were tritons. I finally figured that out through the synchronicities and through the putting things together, okay? I started taking this stuff, this wormwood combination thing that's like a mixture of different stuff. I'll put a link down below. If you want to get it, you can get it. Or you can just get the ingredients that are in it. But it's to get rid of parasites in our body. Parasites come in like through Lyme disease. Parasites come in through meat. Parasites come in through just like having pets. Like, it doesn't matter. They're everywhere though. And I've been seeing that, right? Keep seeing that. And I finally got the medicine and started taking it. I didn't seek this out though, okay? I started finding these codes, right? Frequency codes. And I started using them, applying them, because I was like, fuck it. Why not, right? Like, I believe in this shit. Sure, let's try it out. And what you do is you can either write it on your hand, like on your wrist, or you can write it in the book, and you just say, I fully activate and charge these codes. I, Bridgerelle, fully activate the code, boop, 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 and I fully believe that I will receive, boop, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And you can write it on your wrist, you can write it in the book, but these codes that I had were to call back your power, to clean your aura, to remove black magic, to have unexpected money. If anybody saw the thing where it's like, I got a bonus, right? Conscious astral travel, mediumship abilities, interpreting symbols and writing unknown languages, free-flowing money, removing resistance and interferences, right? Staying in REM sleep, telepathic abilities. My dad said to me yesterday, I feel like, today, actually, he said earlier, he's like, I feel like telepathic ability is getting stronger. Because every time he thinks of somebody, they call. Or every time, like, it's getting stronger, okay? Commune with guides, pineal gland, Akashic records, remember dreams, remove pain, parasites, black spells, free from evil spirits, learning the secrets, okay? Each one has their things. The remember your dream was 2137. The Akashic records, 9871. pineal gland 52011. I'll take a picture, put it on the board, okay? So people can also benefit from these. Because you don't want to be a gatekeeper. You don't want to be like, oh, this is only for me. But like, I tried to share this recently because I also had
and as I just went to check to see, like, because sometimes when I share stuff, it's like, it doesn't show, or it, like, gets messed up. So I just watched that story back of the 55515 was the first one that I, whatever. In the video I did recently, it was like, Spirit pushed me hard to share this. I was like, hey, guys, pay attention to that number right there, 5515, because it was all across the top, right? But earlier, when I had been editing the video, there was another point where the 5515s were showing up, right? It reminded me of the code, but I didn't mention the code. It was just the fact that that number was there. Then when I added the other video and was editing it, it showed up on the screen at the exact same spot that it was there again. And I was like, oh my god, that's so fucking crazy. Okay, so I edited like earlier in the video to say, hey, remember those, because they're going to pop up again later in the video. But when I just went and like double checked to see that 55515 before this was like, explained and you could see and everything, I also had the 55515 on top of the fucking phone again.
Synchronicity bring me to other things to do with frequency, because recently I put my different windows on my computer for the hertz, right? It was like 369 hertz is going to help you with this, and blah 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 hertz is going to help you with that. Those music where it's like boom 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 boom. I was like, well, I don't want to pick one. I'm just going to put on a couple, right? Apparently Nikola Tesla did this way back in the day, and I found out the other night from this guy who created a machine. But he puts like these like electrodes on people. He has them drink a lot of water so that they're full of water, because water is programmable and you are basically full of that, right? And he would put one electrode on for this and one for that, and it was like 396 hertz and 40 hertz removes the pain of neuropathy pain, which is what I felt was happening with my feet. But I was like, because I'm like, oh my god, I was doing that last week with the multiple windows playing at the same time. So you don't need to go get those electrodes. You don't need to go do all that stuff. You do whatever you want to do, because that's how this reality is. I try to get this through as best as I can, but it's like, whatever you believe will be. But it's layered, and it's subconscious, and it's programmed, and it's coming at you from all different levels and layers, and there's light, and there's dark, and there's good, and there's bad, and there's like you over and over and over and over and over and over fighting yourself a lot of times. But I wanted to share that because it is part of all of this, and because someone asked me earlier. But it's hard for you to sometimes get these messages out there, or for people to comprehend the fullness of this, or not just dismiss you, or even to just take the action. If you don't believe that you're worthy of those things, then you might not write them down. You might not do it. You may not take the action. You may stay in the position that you're in because that's where you feel like you belong. I wish that people didn't have that, but they do. And that's why the subconscious, that's why doing the work is so important, and being authentic and being vulnerable and being transparent and being real with people is important. Now, for the third eye stuff, now that's basically like, we all know, like, okay, it's up here, right? It's our pineal gland. When you look at like the Eye of Ra or the Eye of Horus back in Egypt, they knew what that was. That is basically like a symbolic thing, which again, the third eye is going to help you see those symbols. It's going to help you understand. It's going to help you to put the pieces together. Just 927, okay? 27's been showing up like nonstop for me the past couple of days, which is just tied into more synchronicity and more confirmations. Now the third eye, 1818 on the clock. Okay guys, so the third eye chakra. I do have this on my website. This is a full post. Every chakra has one on the website. I actually originally did it for the BeCreativelyYou.com that I had started back then, and it had all my poems and all my things and my art and all of that, and then I kind of like collected all of those and emailed them to myself, and then not all of them got transferred over, but these ones have been. So if you want to look more into the other chakras or get like a refresher, there's tons of information out there. For the most part, it's the same as we've already covered within other chakras, like eating purple food, okay? Like eggplant is the only thing I could think of. Eat some eggplant, purple grapes, cabbage, whatever you can think of that's purple, okay? Wearing the color purple. thinking of the color purple, like projecting the color purple. Like, have you seen those videos where somebody's like, intuition test, what color am I thinking of, or what color am I sending to you right now? I also saw something recently to do with like when you have conflict with somebody, or there's something going on, and maybe it's conflict within yourself or conflict with somebody, you just intuitively let yourself think, okay? And this is a combination of like our clear knowing, which is the crown above, which we're going to be working on next, and then the third eye, seeing. And so again, like for me, I'm a clear knower. I don't necessarily see a video in my head. I have seen things since doing this work and all of that, but it's like easier for me to see with my eyes open. A lot of times I see things that other people don't see or they don't catch, and once I'm like, hey, look it, they're like, oh yeah. Or I will see things that other people don't see whatsoever. Our third eye has levels of perception. It's like, it's 11:11. Like right now it's 2:44, 2:04, okay? All right? That's that thing that I have going on within me that's constantly like, and I follow it around, okay? I'm like, and once something's brought to my attention, it's like I start noticing, okay, here's a purple, and here's more purple, and then here's more purple, and it's like, it's just like, and it's weird. I think it could be autism, it could be ADHD, it could be, whatever, but I feel like it's not even necessarily, like, you could have that, right? But you can train yourself to do this regardless of what your brain is, regardless of what you have been, told is wrong with you. Because again, there's nothing wrong with any of us, no matter what you are or how you are. It's just who you are and what people have probably conditioned you to think about yourself. But when we start seeing it, we start to see like the connectedness of all things, and it's like, oh, there's another one, there's another one, there's another one, there's another one, there's another one. And it's like, my life is like that all day long, and that's part of the third eye, okay? And that's a lot of work that I've done to get to that point of having that be so significant, almost to an overwhelming point sometimes, where I'm like, because it's hard to verbalize to other people without 333, them thinking you're nuts, okay? Now, again, this video will be added to another video that I recorded earlier, so you're probably not going to see 333, but I'm willing to bet something will probably pop up that's like synchronistic in the way that it shows. That's just how it is for me. It's hard, again, to verbalize for those who don't experience it, but that's part of our third eye, is when we're seeing those things that are interlaced and interconnected. It's like the flower of life. So sacred geometry is within everything, okay? Again, purple, right? The Vesica Pisces is like the two together, okay? It's like two little circles interconnected. There's the seed of life, there's the Vesica Pisces, and there's the flower of life, which is basically just a bunch of circles interconnecting with each other, like, and that's what everything is in our reality. That's how everything really kind of all comes together. Once you see, it's hard to not see. You probably can lose it. It depends on how much work you do, how much time you put into it. Like, I've seen people come recently and they were like, I'm going to subscribe again, or subscribe to your channel because I want to get back into being spiritual. Instead of thinking of it in that term, like if you feel like, oh, I haven't really been doing it, or you like look at me in a way of like, she's much better at this, don't do that to yourself, because we're all spiritual beings in a human body. We all have a soul. That's what it is inside of us, that's like guiding us, that's like pulling us to do certain things. That's why you feel a certain way towards certain people. That's why some things stick out to you and not other people, because you have frequency and energy that's like important to you, that's significant to you. And that's again why it's hard to verbalize synchronicity to other people, because what's significant to you is probably not very significant to someone else. I watched a video recently where they were talking about synchronicity specifically in the video, and the guy shared his like, oh my God, and then the woman shares her, oh my God. And you could tell, like, I have that ability to read the energy of people, and how like his was so significant to him, but for her, it didn't have that, woo, But when she shared hers, she had that woo, and he was like, like, because they didn't like experience it. So it's also independent, you know, it's like individual. What's significant and powerful to one may be like to another, or it could just, oh, that's just a coincidence. But don't do that to others, and don't do that to yourself. Try to see the things, because once you see them, you're going to see more and more and more of them. Now, again, the color purple will help you to unlock or to connect with the frequency that is connected to your third eye. It's just the color that is like assigned to it, or the indigo color. If you're an indigo child, you may be somebody that's more in tune or more able to pick up or connect with your third eye. I feel like a lot of times people get like discouraged, or they feel like they can't do, or they're not enough, or they don't know, or they're not, like, they don't have that gift. But it's like, it doesn't matter. If you tell yourself that, that's what it's going to be. And that's really what it all comes down to, is what you believe, is what you choose to take on as your reality of, I'm never going to have that, I can't do that, I'm not good at this. Like, people always, like, I've always in my life had a hard time since I was 5 years old of remembering my dreams. So I'm like, I don't know, I don't dream. So saying that all the time was creating more of that for me in my life. And I was still aware of it, but you still catch yourself doing that. And then other people that I would meet would have that same thing, and they tell me that same thing. When I tried to do astral travel, which again is another part of your third eye, because you're dreaming, you know, or you're not in this realm, you're not in this reality, you're not seeing with your physical eyes when you do astral travel. It took me a long time to get out of my body and have that first astral travel. And then I did it again, and I did it again. And once I had hit it, which was like so long, like it started when I lived in the basement, right? I was like, all right, I'm going to do this. And I was listening to Paul Santisi and Susanna, Is This a Dream? And like all these different people who would do like a guided thing. But Paul Santisi had his rules. Susanna, Is This a Dream? Had her way. And the other people would say this thing. And that in itself causes people to be like, I'm not, you know, like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to believe. I'm stuck in my body, you know? And I feel like that's a detriment to people. That's why sometimes I choose to leave out parts of the teaching that I was taught about certain concepts, because I want people to just go into it and see if they can do it. And if they come to me and tell me afterwards that, hey, I tried to do that thing, but I couldn't do that one part. Or when I got to that thing, it was like, I did everything else, but that one part didn't work for me. Then I could talk to them about it and you know, help them to overcome that hump. But giving people that expectation of, this is going to be really hard, or this is going to be really fucking difficult for you to do, is going to make that much more of a reality for them. Just because that person had that hard time, or just because that person did it that way, doesn't mean that you need to do that. Non-attachment is also huge within all of everything with manifesting. It's like, as soon as you let go of that, like, about something, is when it happens, is usually when we get like the result, when we're finally like, fuck, I don't care. Then it's like, here you are, here you go, you just had to stop being a psycho about it, and you get it. Like the night that I left my body, right, the first time I ever did it was with Susanna, Is This a Dream? It was the Crystal Lake one that she has, where it's like, so she's got a very like a very soft voice. She's like, relax, and I don't even know what she was saying at the time, but it was like connected to like dropping into the water. And I remember I turned into a water drop, and I dropped into the water, and I like spread out in there. But it was like I was everything and I was nothing. I was the water, but I was consciousness, and it was like just a weird, like, whoa experience. That was the first experience that I had with that. Then there was another time that I wasn't even really like, it had nothing to do with what I was listening to or trying to do, but I left my body and I went up into a ship. And when I got in the ship, there was a bunch of tall white beings in there. but they had no facial expressions. They just had like big eyes, and they were like just staring at me. And I was like, oh my God, where am I? What is happening? And I started getting a little scared. They knew, okay, because it's telepathic communication. So they decided to do a jig together. All of them simultaneously. Do, 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 do. And I was like, ah! Like, way worse. No! Slam! Back into my body, okay? That was the other time that had, leaving the body not for very long. Bam! Back into my body. The other time, I was like so frustrated. And I was actually in my bed alone. I think my person that I was connected to at that time had gone to Florida on vacation or something. Like, he used to go away all the time. And I was like on his side of the bed because I was like, yeah, like it was very hard to do like what Paul Santisi would be like, don't move your body, don't let anything disturb you, with 7 dogs and a fiance. It was like, all right, let's hope for the best, but he would have different things. Like there's the roll technique where you don't actually move your physical body, but you're trying to roll yourself out of your body. It's like, roll out of the body. Roll. And he has kind of an annoying voice. But,
what is the roll technique?
Roll out of your body.
Of your body.
Roll out of your body. And it was like, the dog would move, and it's like, fuck you! Like, it just didn't work. But that night, I had the whole bed, with the dogs. And I finally just got frustrated, and I rolled over onto my side to sleep. Because usually I was like, all right, I'm going to sleep on my back. I'm not going to move. I'm just going to roll out of my body. Like, do all the weird shit. And when I was like, fuck it, rolled onto my side, I left my body. And I was like, left my body. Oh, wait a minute. But I had on a different soundtrack that night. I don't know who it was. I can't remember who it was. But it was like mumbled, all right? So it was probably like the earpiece was like somewhere, not really in my ear, not really in my ear. And I was like going out, and I'm like over these hills and stuff, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so cool. But then I was like, wait a minute. Because whatever that person was saying that was like, whoa, 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 all mumbled, I couldn't hear what they were saying, but it was just repeating over and over and over, and I went through like all those levels of like when somebody dies and you go through grief and sadness and anger and acceptance. I went through anger and acceptance. I went through all of those pretty quickly. And I was like, oh man, am I stuck here? Like that was like my thought. Like, am I stuck out here just doing this? Like listening to that forever? And then I was like, it's better than my life, right? And then I'm, boom, back to my body. Again, it was like 2 lessons there with like the non-attachment. Because like I didn't expect to leave my body when I rolled over to my side because of all those rules of like, don't move, lay on your back, roll out, blah, 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 blah. Once I let go of that and was like, fuck it, I don't care, it was like, oh, non-attachment, leaving my body, letting it go, here I go, right? But then again, in the reverse effect of like, fuck it, this is better than my life, was like, boom, right back in. So it was like, you see what hopefully you see what I mean with like that non-attachment, because I was a little nervous about being stuck out there forever, listening to that on loop. And I was like, as soon as I accepted it, I was back in my body. And then I was like, damn it, I should have stayed out there. But like, it's like you can't ever appease a human being's ego or a human being totally. It's like, we're always like, blah, about stuff. But if we could just be like, you know what? It's all good. It's all good. Like, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. If we could get to that place more of just like being cool, calm, collected, knowing wherever we are is where we're meant to be, whatever's going on is meant to happen, it would be so much easier. But it's very hard to maintain that when you deal with other humans, especially if the other humans that you deal with are not there. Like I have it happen a lot with like my dad, because my dad grew up with his mother who's a nurse. And so any like thing that happens is like, go to the doctor, go to the doctor. Go to the doctor. I'm like, fuck the doctor. Fuck the doctor. The doctor's part of the fucking shit show here. Because the doctors go to the school that's under the conditioning of the people who are running the media to tell you what they want to tell you, teaching you what they want to teach you, which is a bunch of bullshit. And like nobody has like actual like, oh, that body part's fucked up, let's just take it out, instead of like, let's stop giving you whatever's causing that body part to become all messed up, or let's stop, you know, the mental aspect of things, because many times you go to the doctor, they don't talk to you about your mental health. They're not asking you, what are your thoughts? They're not asking you, what are you eating? You know, maybe some of them do, but a lot of them aren't taught that. A lot of them are self-taught things now, and you'll find them online. Like, I've sought out my own answers within things because I know I'm going to find them through the synchronicity. I know I'm going to find my answer. I know it's going to circle back around. Circle back around with like the synchronicity, and the confirmations and the reasons why. And I always have like a deeper inner knowing, but other people make you question that, doubt yourself, doubt what you know, doubt what you've experienced your whole life, or doubt what you are experiencing in that moment, because they scare you, or they freak you out, or you freak yourself out, or you see something on TV, or you read something. Like I said, when I was diagnosed with Lyme, like I knew I had Lyme the day that I got bit, because I've been bit by ticks before, but they never stung. It was at the end of April in 2020, and I remember what I was doing when I got bit. I had published one that was a private healing for somebody, and I was like, oh, shit. So I was like, sorry guys, I gotta take that down. That's a private healing, but I'll do one for you guys. But I was doing it in vain. Not all of them, but a lot of them, because you can look at the numbers, okay? Do a pick a card of like, what do they want to do to you? And everybody's, 100,000 views. Do like a healing session of, hey, this is how you could heal, so that they could do that to you. But they would like, not really want to do that. So it would be like 100 views. So I was like, overwhelmed at the time. I was working a lot at the time, being drained a lot at the time. And I kind of was like, oh man, like I didn't want to do it, but I did it because I was people pleasing, and I got bit in the middle of it, and it stung, and I'm like, oh. So I called the doctor that night because I felt like weird about it. I made a post on Facebook. I was like, hey, blah, 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 blah. And everyone's like, call the doctor, call the doctor, call the doctor. The lady's like a nurse on the call, and she was like, it's probably a baby tick. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I'm like, all right. I knew I had to go there May 18th, okay? So it was like the last day of April when I called. May 18th is not that far away. It's 18 days away, my birthday. The only reason I remember that is because I was getting a birth control shot on my birthday, and I knew I was going to be in there to see them for that. And I asked the doctor to look at my fucking leg, which still has the mark to this day, and she wouldn't even look at it. Now, this is the start of COVID and all the craziness, and everybody was like, blah, 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 being all crazy and whatever. So maybe it was because of that she didn't want to look at it, but in the grander scheme of things, like I said to my dad tonight, I was like, I feel like it was all meant to happen. I feel like it's all part of my experience and my story. Like when I reach out to people to get help and I can't get help, when I try to do something and it doesn't work, there's a reason why it's not working. There's a reason why that's not the thing that I need to do. But if you don't have that level of about it, you don't see it that way. You just think, she's fucking nuts, and she's gonna kill herself, she's gonna die. As a dad, he's like worried, concerned, thinks that I'm gonna die up here. He's come up to check on me to see if I'm still alive at different times. But I know myself, I know my body, I know them, my light bulbs in the sky. I know what they would like me to do. I know what I would like me to do. I know what other people would like me to do. But coming into all of that together requires wisdom. It requires us detaching. It requires us paying attention. It requires us doing the work. It requires the non-attachment, the belief in ourselves, the confidence in ourselves, not letting other people's opinions or fears or doubts or you should do this, you should do that sink in too much. And a lot of it is subconscious too, that blah, 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 messes us up. Whatever you've been taught, whatever you've been said to, like in your life, is usually up in there. Whether or not you're consciously walking around believing it is another thing. But when you work on those things and when you see these stuff and you allow yourself to trust that path, you awaken a whole new level of things. You awaken a whole new level of your consciousness. You awaken a whole new level of your perception. You don't need to see a video play out. You don't need to see specifically, like, clairvoyantly, to see what's happening, or to see the message, or to see the greater, like, reality at play within all things in our life. So try not to focus on, like, I want to see a movie, or I want to see something. Instead, ask yourself, maybe it's that I'm a knower. Like, when you watch a movie, do you kind of know who the killer is before anybody else does? Do you know what's going to happen before other people know? Do you, have that thing that's like spidey sense? Because if you do, you use that to know what you're being shown. Like, when I guide a guided meditation, it used to happen in person. I feel like it still happens, but I don't necessarily talk to you guys at the end of the meditation to get that feedback back. But when I would do it in person with people, I have 12 people come to an event, I guide them onto meditation, and then at the end would go around to talk to everybody. And 4 out of 12 people would be like, oh my God, when you got to that part and you said, here comes the dolphin, I had seen the dolphin before you said it. Wow, weird. All right, so I must have known what they were showing me without even knowing that that's what I was knowing. You know what I mean? And they knew by, like, they were already seeing it, or they were already connecting to that as I'm saying it. So it's like they got their confirmation, I got my confirmation. And that's why doing those things together, or with the feedback, is so important on this journey. I feel like that's one of the reasons why I've started to, like, over the past year, because I wasn't doing as much of this work, like, actively all the time, getting that feedback from people all the time. And, like, social media in itself, it's like, people will look at your stuff, they'll save your stuff, but they don't like it or comment or do anything. So you're like, what does that mean? And it's like, again, ego. So we gotta, release that attachment to the outcome, or release that attachment to, like, needing that recognition, or needing somebody. But occasionally it's nice to hear that, like, hey, that thing helped me, or, like, when you said that thing, which has happened on this channel when I've shared things. I know specifically one of the dolphin ones, I think, actually was in it. Somebody was like, oh my God, when you said this, I saw that. I had a message last night from somebody that was like, oh my God, about the diamond light vortex 2222. And when I read it, they were like, So I sent them the diamond light vortex activation. If you're just coming into all of this and you're wanting an activation, or you're wanting the Munay Rites or something like that, I got rid of Vimeo. If you paid for Vimeo videos in the past, they're VOD, they're still on there. Download that and save that forever, indefinitely for yourself, just to be sure that, like, Vimeo doesn't decide at some point to take it away from you. But even if they do, I have the backups, okay? Like, I have them on YouTube. I can send you a link and you can watch them, But if you're, coming at me and you're wanting all that, like, it would be great if you could just show me proof of payment, or show me that you did buy it or something, or show me, like, your Vimeo like playlist or something. Just, like, be prepared, okay? Because I don't know how long they'll leave those up for, okay? But if you are someone new to all this and you're wanting to do the Munay Rites, or you're wanting to do an activation and you can't find it through the links that are there right now, because I'm only one person and I've got to update it all, if you message me on my website and tell me what you want, I will send you an invoice. Of course, if you want to make your own oracle cards, that's, again, on its own page there. And then the course for Munay Rites, all 9, boom, right there. If there's any problem at all, just message me. I might not get back to you instantly, but I will get back to people. And if you haven't joined the groups on Facebook, everything is still available. It's not disappearing. It's not gone forever. It just may no longer be on Vimeo anymore. I think that's why, again, I was seeing, like, me paying twice on stuff, seeing issues within my money, seeing issues with, like, I sent this person a thing and this one broke, and I send this person a thing and it just disappears. And I have pictures of the thing because I was using it as a picture, like, for instance. And they're like, the mail people are like, oh yeah, we got that package, we remember that package, but we don't know where it is. What? Okay, sure. Like, but they don't care, because it's like that they don't care. So I know all of that, again, was for a reason. I could have looked at that and become a victim of it, and oh my God, let it really become like a thing, which would have just amplified it in my life. Or I could have looked for the deeper meaning in it. which I think there was many levels and layers. So again, your third eye is going to get stronger over time. Your level of perception is going to grow over time. Your wisdom is going to be impacted. It's also going to depend on how well you're feeling, the people that you're allowing in your life, the things that's happening inside of our world is all our responsibility. If somebody's treating us badly, well, it sucks that they're doing that, but you're allowing it, you know? And like, if something keeps happening over and over, it's like every time I meet people, this happens. Well, what am I doing that's allowing that to happen? We need to take responsibility for it and change whatever that is, whether it's that we have shitty boundaries or we're just a like person that is kind of a lot of times, even when it's maybe not even my responsibility, or like it's not even, I have no reason to be like ba. Like, perfect example, I sent my sister a message tonight just to again say, because I know she's a lot like I am. She grew up in the same home I grew up in. She was treated certain ways that I know makes us susceptible to thoughts that are like, bleh! Like, you just hate me. Like, it's crazy, right? And I'm aware of it though, because I've done the work, 27. So I sent her a message earlier and I was like, listen, I just want to let you know that I am very grateful for everything that you did. I appreciate everything you did to help me while I was really sick. And I feel bad. And I'm sorry that when I got sick, the business crashed so hard because then I couldn't afford to pay her full time. She's had to get other jobs. And she was still helping me with things, but I was like, I didn't know because we suck with communication. I didn't want to take away the responsibilities that she still had because I didn't want her to feel like I was taking that away from her in a way of like, you're not doing it right, or I don't want you to be part of this anymore. Like, I was leaving that door open for her, but it was hurting the business because she's so busy in her life, she can't get to me, you know? Like, it's like 3 weeks later, here's that candle. It would have been easier for her to ship the candle out, or like me to just do it myself, because I could have had it sent out like 2 weeks ago, but instead I was just waiting silently, like not wanting to push her, not wanting to be like a pain in the butt, but at the same time being like, I want to people please these people, but I'm people pleasing your people, and oh my goodness. And at the same time, I'm wondering, is she resenting me for this? Is she like wanting to do this? Does she want to keep a foot in the door? Or does she want me to just let her go because she's working all these other jobs? And it's like, you know? So finally tonight I sent her a message. I was like, I just want to let you know, I appreciate all that you've done. I'm really sorry that it wasn't able to keep going. There was a lot of things that added into it, that added stress and pressure. And I miss you. I love you. No matter what happens, like, I would love to see you. I would like to see Savannah. And like, I don't want to be weird about that either. Like, I don't want to replace you. I don't want to be your mom. Like, because when you go through narcissistic abuse as a child, or your mother is like, bleh, and my stepdad, who came in very young, I was like 7 when he showed up, that's when love went out the door. That's when emotions went out the door. I've watched him, like when my sister was a little girl, probably 7, she walked over to hug him and he literally just pushed her by her forehead away. That fucks people up, you know? That makes us feel like, you don't love me, you know? Or like, receiving love becomes really hard because we haven't received it. So then we get involved in these relationships or these connections with people that don't necessarily treat us the way that we deserve to be treated, or we put up with things that maybe other people wouldn't put up with. But we also connect with people that are broken as well, because we've been broken. So then I become empathic, because I'm the type of person that goes and researches it all and figures out why they're that way. And then I get it confirmed to me from those people specifically, like, oh, and I'm like, oh man. So I let them get away with more and more and more. But then, like, over time, you start to realize, like, okay, this isn't healthy. This is healthy. Whether or not that person's ready or not to accept that from me, or whether or not they believe that out of me, or whether or not they respond in any way, or whether or not they even ever had an issue to begin with. Maybe it's all just in my own head. But I know that that person should know what I'm talking about, because they experience that too. Is again a level of our perceptions. It's a level of us doing that inner work, of doing the shadow work, of digging into who we are, why we're attracting what we're attracting, why we're allowing what we're allowing, why we're feeling what we're feeling, or seeing what we're seeing, or dealing with what we're dealing with. But then when we take our power back and we no longer allowing those things, we start to see the results of that effort too. Like these codes that I had come into my reality at first, I wasn't applying them like to the fullest extent that I knew I should or could. I was just like, whatever, 55515 was the first one I found for pain, okay? And I was like just saying it in my head, reciting it in my head, and I noticed that the pain was going away in my foot. Like, I've been standing here, no pain. I cleaned my house today, no pain. Like, that's a huge freaking feat, because you guys saw me like dying not too long ago, a couple weeks ago, when I just did a live. And by the end of that live, I was like, like, can't move. This foot over here is pretty much healed. That foot over there still has like an open thing on it, but it doesn't feel like it did. It's healing. That 55515, right? That's the first code I found. Those little things are the codes, okay? Like, they're like the, hey, you're on the right path. 5s are about change. 1s are about keep an eye on your thoughts, okay? 33333. Probably won't be that on the final video, but that's where it was. The 3s are the ascended masters, and it's like we're ascending, we're learning, we're growing, we're evolving. They all have a thing, okay? Numbers, colors, everything is frequency here. Everything is frequency. You're a frequency, I'm a frequency. When we get out of balance, or when, like, somebody breaks our heart, that's when our frequency is like, blah, 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 right? We become that star, and our frequency rises, and we start to shift up out of there, and then it's easier to get our abundance. It's easier to be, wow, in our ultimate fulfillment, because we're not allowing other things to keep us from being happy. So even happy and sad, our frequencies, our mindset, our frequencies, like whatever you're thinking about is going to propel you forward or stop you. You could be that single, sexy, confident, independent person. You can start over anytime you decide, because you're always the star of the show of your life regardless. And you just choose to be happy. Things will work out at the right time when they're meant to work out. And seeing the picture, trusting the gnosis, trusting spirit. And it's hard, you know, it's not easy. Most of the stuff we deal with here, we signed up to deal with for a reason. So associated issues with your third eye could be fatigue, daydreaming, sleep disorders, assertiveness issues, an inability to listen to others. You could experience hallucinations, or you could display disorientation, like associated body parts of the pineal gland, the pituitary gland, the eyes, the skull, the brain, the nervous system, and your senses. The third eye chakra is the center that connects to unseen aspects of our consciousness. How our thoughts shape reality. It is here that we begin to understand that everything does indeed happen for a reason. And depending on the outlook, we can grow or we can regress in those moments. Once we decide to grow and start seeing the world from a positive outlook, we attract positive things into our reality. We start to trust ourselves, and we can use our intuition for our guidance, and ultimately we create a life far better than what we had once imagined. Balanced third eye chakra allows us to tap into the universal knowledge. We can easily grasp the concepts of oneness and take on the role of the creator in our reality. We find it easy to manifest all that we have envisioned for ourselves, and we receive regular confirmation that we're on that right path. 55515. New experiences such as astral travel and reaching the higher states of consciousness come with ease, as well as a complete sense and understanding of the universe as whole. And unbalanced may lead to extreme stress in our lives, leaving us prone to tension headaches around our eyes, our temples, and our forehead. Or we may start to exhibit a judgmental, unsympathetic thought process, and we disconnect from our knowledge or intuitive expressions. And I've been catching myself doing that recently, like getting frustrated with the world because I can see things that other people don't see, or other people don't acknowledge, or it's almost like a battle, right? But I'm also aware of the other level of it. Like, if I let that come in and do that to me, where I'm like, ah, it takes me out of balance. It takes me further into that, and it makes it even harder to show up and do what I've been here to do. But when I recognize that, and I verbalize it, and I catch it, and I'm honest with people, it usually has a better outcome than just me trying to push through and be like, oh, love and light, and not be my authentic self. Like in the podcast episode I did last night, I was, candid with people and let them know, like, lately it's been like I don't even want to help these people, because it's like having kids, right? When you have kids and you're like, you just want what's best for you. I just care about you. I just love you. I don't want you to eat your vegetables, or I want you to, not talk to that person that's a piece of crap, right? The kids are like, I hate you. And that's how it's been feeling lately on the planet with what's going on the planet, because things have been getting amped up. And I know they show me things for a reason, to bring my awareness to it, to do things like the money thing. I was really pushed to share that message. And all the people in the comments, oh my God, thank you, yeah, blah, 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 like all positive things. One person was like, why did you share this? You know, like instead of listening to it to understand what I was trying to give to them for like, hey, if you have money that you care about, you might want to hold on to it. If you, you know, eat the food, drink the water, breathe the air, you may want to be aware of this. But they were too like, why are you telling me this, to get to that point. But the problem with me within that was like, I'm focusing on that one negative person rather than all these positive people. And it's very easy to do, especially when you feel that way anyways. Like sometimes I feel like it doesn't matter what I say, or like people will dismiss certain things, especially because of different levels. Like a lot of people will come to me for their twin flame stuff, and I've been actively trying to separate myself from that. Like took it off of my like bio on everywhere. I even took like the highlights off of my Instagram main page for like the twin flame decks, like trying to be more connected to what I started off as, like past life, inner child, starseed, healer, all of those things, because that's what I'm here, that's what I showed up to do. That was a part of my journey. Now I need to separate myself from it, but I can't get mad at other people for expecting out of me what I was doing for years, because they're still there. And I'm not mad at them per se. It's just frustrating when it's like I'll get a comment asking a question about a twin flame situation that has nothing to do with the content that I shared. Like I get like a comment like, what do I do in this situation? Which I understand and I have compassion for that person, but it's like, like how, like, I know what I could say to them, but at the same time, I don't want to do that because I don't want to keep that energy present in my reality. And I also know for my own mental health and my own heart and my own progress forward, like I need to move past that. That's why I was like, maybe I should just delete that whole channel and boom it out. So it's like people get the message of, or the memo of like, I'm not down with the crowd anymore, guys. Like I get that some people are still there or some people are still benefiting from that, and that's great. But when it comes to like my own journey or my own mental health and my own heart and my own journey forward, I don't really necessarily want that to be the focus. So I don't want to keep all those doorways or all that energy too present. Also because, again, I've now seen and I'm now probably aware of the fact that most of the people that come around are probably dealing with a very similar situation. And if that's the case, it's probably not a very healthy situation for them, at least not at this time, because we attract our mirrors. And that's, again, it's an unfortunate thing to have to be the bearer of that news, because people want to have that, like, but it's my twin flame, or like, this is what I'm meant to be, or eventually things are going to be like, ta-la-la, and they look to you to be the one that's like, oh yeah, like everything's going to be great. But when you're like, no man, it's not. Like, they're going to keep being a lying, jerk. They're going to keep hurting you. They're going to keep doing this to you until you say no. And maybe they will change. Maybe they will come speak their truth. Maybe you will end up together. But it's not going to happen with you continuing on the path that you're on. You've got to be like, fuck that. I got to shift everything. I've got to see with a new level. I got to go within and be on my own for a while. I got to stop obsessing about them and what they're doing. And I got to value myself so that they can value me. Because obviously, if somebody's not valuing me, somebody's daggering me, somebody's hurting me, it's my choice to let that happen. It's my choice to be brokenhearted and deal with third parties and not heal, right? So if you're doing that and you're still wanting this, you're not on that level. So you need to go in, see from a new perspective, recognize the karmic crap within it, and protect yourself from it. Do the energetic work on yourself and transform. And if they're truly the one, they will return at that same level as you. But if you have a player showing up, or you have someone juggling you with other options, or they're like, I don't know, or they just disappear and ghost, they're not going to give you this. And that you need to mirror them within that. When they're blocking and guarded and like lying or whatever, or causing all of this, mirror that back to them by being like, all right, fuck you. I disconnect. I go work on me. You go work on you. Maybe I'll see you in 20 years or 10 years or whatever. But if I'm sitting around like this about it, I'm not going to manifest that. So again, at the same time, it's like there's levels and layers, and it's hard to be the bearer of that news. And it's hard to even listen to those questions or have those constant reminders when you're trying to be like, let me get out of here because this is killing me. But it weighs on you. It manifests in your life in a bad way. So it will manifest through extreme difficulty in understanding the spiritual sides of the world. Concepts such as thoughts creating our reality will seem far-fetched or implausible. Failing to see the connection among all living beings in the building of emotional walls to separate ourselves from others, we will remain disconnected from our intuition, our empathy, and we're going to base all of our decisions on the strict logic and reason. You know, and again, it's hard too, because like I am a sensitive, soft, like boo boo boo. So I always forgive very easily, and I'm like, okay, that's okay that you did that, but me doing that sets me up to receive that again and again. So until I'm like, all right, no, this isn't cool. I don't put up with that. You need to at least apologize, man. I'm not going to get those apologies. I'm not going to get the changed behavior. So we have to be responsible for ourselves just as much as we want to be like about what someone's maybe doing. But again, the color is the indigo color. It's like almost like an indigo blue. The element is light, okay? So using light therapy would help you. Color therapy, like wearing indigo, may encourage the insights, the intuition, and mental clarity. Aromatherapy that will support would be bergamot, vanilla, orange, and lemon. Sound therapy are the wind chimes, the singing bowls, the mantra Om, the frequency 426.7 hertz, the keynote A, all will help. The sensory therapy relates to light therapy. Light therapy is visual exercising, practicing Tai Chi, participating in brain teasers like, which one am I sending you? What number am I thinking of? Those types of things. Using an eye pillow for times of relaxation, so you're not being like messed with while you're asleep. Like if you sleep with a light on or you sleep with your windows open, like that can mess with like the quality of your sleep. Meditation and focusing on the growth and expansion of your intuition, your perception, your insight, and your self-realizations. Amethyst, azurite, diamonds, sodalite, and lapis lazuli are all good crystals for your third eye. Therapy like energy healing sessions, Reiki, crystal healing, the new paradigm, the theta healing, are all great to improve the health and energy within the flow of all your chakras, you know, and it starts at the root, right? So if you've got like some stuff going on at the root where the root is blocked, then you're probably blocked all the way up. So you want to make sure that like you're unblocking all of them. But like if you have a throat block, your third eye is probably blocked. So if like you don't speak your truth, it's going to be harder for you to astral project. If you're not open in your heart, you're not loving unconditionally, it's harder for you to astral project. You know, if you're messed up in your relationships, it's harder up here. It's all connected, and it's our responsibility at the end of the day. But if you find yourself having a difficult time in any of those things, on any level, start at the base. Start at the base level of perception and heal and bring it up through you. And as you do that, and over the time that you work on yourself, you're going to notice you're going to get stronger. You're going to find more strength. You're going to realize these things that are all interconnected. You're going to love yourself more unconditionally than you're loving others. And then it's easier to work together with others. It's easily able to attract, you know, committed, stable, loyal, loving people who value you because you value you. They'll show up to be that King of Pentacles and give you a valuable new beginning when you give yourself that and you bring yourself justice. We don't know until we know. But the best thing for you to do is find the strength to not keep letting the same things play out, or to not expect better from others when you're not being that for yourself. If you're not putting those boundaries up, if you're not demanding respect, if you're not, you know, having something to celebrate about, then separate yourself from those things and work on yourself so that that's what happens. And then you have your death and you rise from the ashes and things are good. So hopefully this makes sense. Again, it is all interconnected. I am going to do the Awaken Your Ancient Eyes activation meditation, which is a bonus one, so it will be on the channel for free. And then moving forward, any activations that are paid ones, I will make like a thing that you can purchase through my website, and there'll be a link that you get, like a hyperlink, and you'll be able to watch it. And again, if it's an old one that you can't access on Vimeo that you'd like to have, just message me. But right now, the Munay Key is on there, the Starrites are on there, Womb Rite is on there, and then the big set that has all 9 of the Munay Key, all 4 of the Starrites, and the Womb Rite is like together.
$337.44.
Which is, chopped down in the price of what it would be to do it all individually. All right, so thank you guys very much. In Munay Namaste.